actual happen. So people, they always want to like, because we have.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to our groundwater quality control board meeting. I will call this. But I will introduce myself and our staff from the health department water quality section. And then I will turn it over to the co-chair, Alex Kinley. My name is Sonia Owens. I am the manager over the water quality branch. And we have our lead technical specialist, Alan Morella, our water quality coordinator, Angela Denovi, our technical specialist, Veronica Smith. And I will now turn it over to Alex.
Thank you. I am Alex Inslee. I'm the acting chair of the Shelby County Groundwater Quality Control Board. Thank you all for coming. I want to welcome a few folks. Specifically, we have Mayor Palazzolo. Thank you so much for coming, and former Representative Dwayne Thompson, and all of the audience members here today that have been deeply invested in our water. We appreciate you being here. We have had a lot of changes on the board, so I just say that I call the meeting to order, right? We're going to call the meeting to order, but I would love for us to each do introductions because we've had a couple join us just the last meeting, and we have 2 new board members this meeting, so we'd love to hear from everybody and introduce ourselves. So again, I'm Alex Kinley, acting chair. I've been on the board for 2 years now. I'm the at-large Shelby County appointee elected by Shelby County Mayor Hicks.
Good morning, my name is Kimberly Gridwell and I represent Memphis Light Gas and Water.
My name is Chet Hoover with the city of Adjourn, the lead water plant operator.
My name is John Fox with the town of Collierville. I'm the utility director.
My name's David McCray. I'm the driller at large for Shelby County.
My name is Heather Holtz. I work for the City of Memphis Stormwater Department, and I'm the City of Memphis at large.
Jason Simpson. I'm the engineer for City of Memphis. Farm maintenance and sewer department.
Good morning, I'm Rachel Chandler. I am the assistant county attorney for Shelby County Government and general counsel for the Shelby County Department. Thank you so much. And so we have Mr. Reisenberger and Mr. Fox here, who are our new appointees, replacing Mike Sorensen and Dee Garrison, who have been on the board for a long time. So we just want to thank them for their service and welcome you all to the board. So now we'll do a roll call to establish a quorum.
Alex Kinley.
Here.
Kimberly Griswold.
Present.
Chet Hoover.
Here.
John Fox.
Present.
David McCray.
Here.
Tony Ryan. Heather.
Here.
Holtz. Jason Simpson.
Here.
And Raven Chandler.
Here. Thank you. I believe we have a quorum. Thank you. Okay, we have a lot on the agenda today, so because we have so many new board members, we are going to take the time to walk through our roles, so we're explicit about what we do on the board and what powers that we have, and hopefully that will be helpful to the community as well. And then we are reviewing an ordinance to make some changes about our fees and the ordinance is not updated in a while. So we're gonna talk through that. So we have a lot to get through today, and then, we are also appointing a chair and co-chair, so be thinking about who you may want to nominate. I'm acting chair as, our former chair stepped down a couple of meetings ago, so we will also be doing that. But before we get to the public comment, we are going to take a look at the meetings that should be, meeting minutes from last time that should be in your folder. So we'll take a look at that for a minute, and then we will move to approve or not. We have a motion about this. Motion to approve, that's right. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you. All right, now we will move to the public comment section, for the sake of time, and because a lot to cover today. That's deeply important to helping our board, be able to carry out our authority, not just to, appeal to your more methods, but to protect our aquifers. So it's really important that we understand exactly, what we are doing and how we might move forward. So we are going to have 10 speakers, limit to 10 speakers, and a 2-minute limit on the public comment today. We have parts, okay,
Alex, can I interject for a second?
yes.
So I had a motion to approve the minutes by Chet Reisenhuber, and I didn't hear a second. Okay, and I did not get a vote recorded.
Oh, okay, do we, vote to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any nays?
Okay,
Okay,
Okay, we will move on to public comment. I have Jim. Independent POA.
But, my name is Jim Kavar, and I live at 1957 Jackson, 38107. I've lived in Memphis for 44 years. I've been a former board member of Protect Our Aquifer for 7 years. And I have been coming to these meetings for 8 years. And I want to start by applauding the volunteer board here. This is hard, detailed work. And I also like to applaud the continued work of a dedicated and underfunded health department staff. I come today to ask just for one thing. That's a full and complete groundwater plan. Protection and management of water. Protection and management of our water is a complicated and urgent issue. I'm not gonna go into the details, but I want to point out the scope of chores given to this board by law. By law, I'm talking about the ordinances, specifically 4274, number 2, which states that the groundwater board shall have and exercise power, duty, and responsibility to proceed without delay to formulate, adopt, and implement a groundwater protection plan for the county. Note the urgency, and this is in 1987. In the next 3 pages alone, the law lists more than 24 specific items that come under power, duty, and responsibility of the board. They repeat this very phrase, in fact, 7 times to emphasize the role of the groundwater board. I will also note 2 other documents. It's already up. All right. Let me make a final statement here. The importance of a full and complete plan grow more critical every day. AI projects are here, crypto mining is here, more will follow. All this depends upon clean water. All of this will see larger amounts of water. We need a plan now, and the power, duties, and responsibility lie with me to this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we have Scott. No, I'm not gonna try. Shake knocker, shake.
That's all right.
Thanks, Scott.
My name is Scott Schaefer-Knocker. I'm Science Director for Protect Our Aquifer, addresses in 59 Riverdale, down Tennessee. I just wanted to give you guys an update on PFAS, which are also known as forever chemicals. All the utilities have sample production wells and water usage throughout the whole state. Those data are being published now, and it is somewhat concerning. So out of Jackson, Tennessee, they have PFAS in the groundwater. They have historical groundwater contamination already, and those are above the set standard MCLs, maximum contaminant levels. And they've just published some other places here in Shelby County and also in Fayette County and surrounding areas. Areas of Bolivar, Somerville, Troxel, Grand Junction, Rossville, Blue City Brewery near Lichterman Wellfield, NSA Mid-South have all detected PFAS in their water. So that means that it is getting into the Memphis Aquifer and it is there. However, those are not above the MCLs, so they're lower than the standards. Other wells, like out of the range, they haven't detected anything that's fairly rural, you wouldn't expect it. But sources around urban areas, if you see contamination already in some of your wells, expect to have PFAS. If you have tritium, young water already in your wells, and you haven't sampled for PFAS or gotten it back yet, you may start seeing that stuff. So like McCord, Lichterman, Allen, all these well fields that have young water in them, that may be right along with that tritium that we use for HDA. What else? Oh, and another report, Memphis Defense Depot, they also, in their reports have detected PFAS in the breach down below 185 feet below the ground surface. That is in the middle of Memphis. So again, got breaches in your well fields, just be aware. That's it.
Thank you, Scott. Next, we have Barry Moore, representing counties.
Good morning, everyone. Board, Memphis Health Department. All our audience members, I'm Barry Moore. I live at 715 Lake Meadow Cove in Connersville. We're here for a common cause, and that's to protect our groundwater, what we drink, and we want to make sure that it's protected for future generations. Thank you for listening to the board. Thank you for listening to Protect Our Aquifer and the experts that we have in this room. that are able to give us some facts about what's going on underground. I hope that one of the outcomes we have in this board is the realization that our 37-year-old groundwater ordinance needs updating. Whether it's fees, or some of the other particular matters that have been brought up, we really need to update that. It's time. The health department can also play a key role in the procedure that we need to do. There needs to be a robust sampling program. They need the tools and the staff to make sure that we can do the job that needs to be done. Also very high on the priority list for me is in Cotterville, where we know we have 3 Superfund sites, all creating a toxic mix of chemicals underground that's gotten into our groundwater, is closed public production wells. This needs serious oversight. It's incumbent upon us to provide that local oversight so that EPA or other environmental companies don't come back and try to install another injection where we're pumping treated toxic wastes back into our groundwater. You need to be an effective board. I appreciate you serving, and you represent us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Next, I have Sarah Houston.
All right, good morning, y'all. Sarah Houston. I serve as Executive Director of Protect Our Aquifer. Thank y'all so far for everybody that's spoken so far, and thank y'all for taking the time to listen. I'm excited for some new membership here, and we're really here to emphasize the importance of this board. This board was formed back in the late 1980s. And this is a time when we were discovering that there were breaches in our clay layer. There was an opportunity between the shallow aquifer and the deeper Memphis aquifer for contamination to get into our drinking water. And that was a new discovery in the 80s. And this board was formed in the late 1980s in order to address that exact thing and think about the bigger picture. And Scott and Barry explained some actual serious threats we have to our drinking water supply. And thinking about this being tied to the health department, this is about the health of our drinking water. This is about the health of the community. And so we really urge y'all to think big. We really urge y'all to think about, not only these current issues, but what's coming down the pipeline. What is science showing that we really need to be getting in front of? Within the 1988 ordinance, there is a goal to adopt a groundwater protection plan. And there's 4 key elements: a wellhead protection program, having observation wells at areas that have hazardous facilities or hazardous chemicals on site, a well permitting program, which is the one thing we do have going, and then a program for toxic spill prevention and counter control measures is really about ensuring that we are doing the best mitigation we can at facilities that we know have chemicals on site. So there's a lot of information out there. We want to support y'all in that. The first step that we've been taking together is updating these permit fees to really help get some funding to the staff, get some funding to this department to do the job and really think bigger. And that support will be a big play for y'all. And y'all are there to direct them in what that looks like. So we're here to support y'all in that. We want to see, what this protection plan looks like and how we can support our utilities also taking action and not waiting for contamination in wells. Lastly, there's the ordinance or the resolution I put before you. That's to help support and accompany the red line ordinance that we will help follow through in county commission and get that all updated and adapted. Thank you.
Dennis Litch, next.
Hello, I'm Dennis Lynch. I'm with the Sierra Club. I live at 347 North McLean. I'm a mechanical engineer and a civil engineer. Some of these comments are my personal comments as well as Sierra Club comments. I want to say, first of all, obviously the Sierra Club supports anything to reduce the use of aquifer water for cooling off the XAI computers. Not everybody knows yet, but XAI is installing a second computer, and all the details related to that one are not clear yet. I do want to say, we need to be careful about XAI, and all of us have heard about Elon Musk. But if you look at Tesla stock, Tesla sales of cars, the company X, which is XAA part of X, or is it part of Tesla, or is it part of Elon Musk's personal investments? Whatever contract we sign with them, we've got to go over it with a fine tooth comb and protect the city of Memphis and Shelby County and MLGW. I think there's a lot of issues. XAI in Memphis is using gas burning turbines. They'll do anything they can to operate their system, get as much energy, as much water as they can. We need to make sure that Memphis and MLGW, the city and the county are protected. I know that a lot of work has been done. The contract's better than what was originally proposed. I think there's still more that needs to be done, and we need to understand the risk involved and be protecting ourselves. There's so many other things. People need to be paying attention and not go gaga over XAI and gaga over Elon Musk. All of the issues about XAI existed before the recent month and political issues nationally. And those just double and quadruple the issues, and we need to be aware and do everything we can to protect ourselves and the city. Thank you very much.
Okay, next, Paul Klein. He's with Climate Reality Project.
All right, I'm gonna stand in the corner. Good morning. My name is Paul Klein. I live at 1841 Black Bear Circle East in Cordova, and I'm co-chair of the Climate Reality Project's Memphis chapter along with my wife. First, I want to congratulate you all on your decision last September to raise the well and septic fees. However, first quarter 25 is nearly past with no increase in revenue for you because there's still work to be done at the county to put the fee increases into effect. We need to establish clear authority for this board to set septic and well permit rates in order to properly fund the program. Towards that end, I urge you to approve the resolution and ordinance today. Second, I urge you to quickly work on establishing a comprehensive groundwater protection plan that will direct those forthcoming increased additional funds towards creating a shared vision for groundwater management in Shelby County. This board has the opportunity to lead the nation in groundwater protection in not only Tennessee, but it could be a model for other municipalities and areas on aquifers. It could be something that the other counties in our aquifers recharge zone could eventually adopt as well. Thirdly, as more and more data centers and major manufacturing companies are moving to our area, we believe that there's even more of a need for this board to think big and preserve our amazing water. The recent announcement of XAI's plan to build a new wastewater treatment plant was so exciting, but was quickly followed by the announcement last week that XAI is going to build another facility in the Whitehaven area with no indication of where that cooling water will come from. Please take a stance on XAI now and future data centers to disallow any use of aquifer water for cooling their supercomputers in order to address legacy pollution, drawdown around well fields. Clean drinking water should not be used to cool supercomputers. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Carl Richards.
My name is Carl Richards, 434 Meadville and 38120. I'm the board chair for Protect Our Aquifer. I just have some very minor comments, echoing what's been said a lot here, but Groundwater protection. You know, there's a huge amount of new scientific information that we have, that we've all paid for, you know, through our monthly bills. That's been funded through the university, through Caesar, the engineering department there at the university, and USGS, of course, we all pay for that too, but there's a huge amount of information that's come up in the last several years that we can utilize, and we need to utilize to make a groundwater protection plan. That's just fundamental. You know, the residents, the municipalities, the commercial interests, the industrial users, we need a playing field. We need to describe that playing field with a groundwater protection plan. It's already been talked about some of the details of that, but you know, wellhead protection zones. What is that? I mean, that's just fundamental for managing groundwater. Monitoring networks, so we can identify, plug into some of the data that's coming out once again, so we can monitor what's happening. What we do know is there's a lot of young water that's in our aquifer that many people think is 2,000 years old, or a lot of that water that we utilize is much younger than that. What does that mean? It's coming from the surface. What do we know about the surface? You know, there's 75 years of chemical pollution that's in a lot of those soils. That's why we need a groundwater protection plan. Where can we do things? Where can developers come in and be aware of what they can and cannot do? So with that said, I just want to once again thank you all. I know this is all volunteer work and there's a lot, but we're here to help you, and we will stand with you and help you in any way that we can. Thank you.
Okay, our vice speaker, Pamela Moses.
How y'all doing? I don't know anybody on this board, and I've been living this my whole life. Some faces look familiar, but I want to say, I stand here before you as a proud representative of Rise Up America. I created this nonprofit in 2018, and we're dedicated to the human rights, and the organization is dedicated to protecting historically redlined communities, and in particular, Boxtown is what I speak of. I also represent COCX, which is a newly formed oversight committee exposing governmental corruption. Our mission is clear: to ensure that the voices of the people are heard, especially the 21,000 households that I speak for today. Those people came from Collierville, Germantown. We come from the city of Memphis. Today, I want to address grave concerns that have come to our attention through our diligent data collection. Our findings indicate that there are alarming attempts to undermine the well-being of Black residents in South Memphis. We must confront the uncomfortable truth that some elected officials and commissioners are prioritizing their personal interests over the health and safety of our communities. Backroom deals and questionable alliances threaten to rob constituents of the very resources they depend on. Resources that should be used to uplift, not undermine. Memphis has the distinction of being the blackest city in America, yet we always find ourselves facing challenges that are reminiscent of the historic injustices. We cannot allow entities such as XAI, Elon Musk, to exploit our natural resources. We got a river in my backyard. Collierville, somebody said they was here. Do you want that in your community? Don't put it in ours. The city and the county are currently squandering our hard-earned tax dollars, and now they're threatening the discussions of creating this new board today that's got to make a recommendation next week. Let me be clear. You do not have the authority to kill my children. 20 years from now, we won't be here. My child will be. This is bigger than water. 1 minute, give me the same respect you gave white man. I did. Okay. This is bigger than water. He has an end game. Go watch the first Terminator. This is not a joke. Think about something other than yourselves for once. If we don't have water, we can't live. Thank you, and I appreciate your work.
That's it.
Thank you all so much for your comments and for letting us know what you think. Okay, so we are moving on to appointing the chair and co-chair. My understanding is we offer nominations for who that might be. Is that correct?
I think you were already nominated to be chair. But
So
but we need to.
I'm not sure that's.
Well, we have to recircle. Go, yeah.
I was gonna say, as the one who's written the minutes.
Yeah.
I recall that it was, I believe, like a nomination for like an acting chair through
Right.
when the, when you all are supposed to, I guess, elect your chair, which would be the first meeting of the year. So we should have elections at this time, is my understanding. I
Yeah,
would like.
I recall the last meeting, we did talk about, thinking of your nominations, and I do believe Alex, you was on that list when we had the discussion in the last meeting, but then we also, we didn't have a co-chair or. We're still, we have to do the elections today.
Yes.
That's my understanding as well.
Okay, and so just to clarify, so we need to nominate a chair and a co-chair.
Correct.
So not each person, but if you would like to nominate someone, you present that nomination for who that might be.
And I would think those would be separate votes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we will start the chair nomination process, if anyone has any nominations for that.
I would nominate Alex Hensley for chair.
Trying to turn this off and on, so I don't, okay, do we have any other nominations for chair?
Move to close nominations and then vote.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to close the nominations?
Motion to close.
Yes. Motion for Kimberly, second for Chet. And then a motion to approve.
Vote.
Alex Hensley. We vote as chair, yes. Just a vote,
Yeah.
Okay. Any ayes? Any nays? I appreciate your trust and I look forward to serving as your chair. Do we have any nominations for co-chair?
Just to ask, who probably has the most experience on the board other than yourself? Cause I'm new to this.
David and Kimberly.
David?
Yeah, but don't get me because I'm fixing to retire.
So Kimberly would be next.
I was going to nominate Kimberly, so I will formally nominate Kimberly as co-chair. Do we have any other nominations?
I object, that's confidential. City attorney.
She's.
Oh, it's
for members only.
Right.
Chair and co-chair.
Well, if you,
And you're speaking out of the meeting is for the
well,
board.
it's a public meeting and occurred to the
But the
sunshine.
public comment has already.
Yeah, but you did that before that. If you're gonna appoint her as the co-chair, she cannot have any involvement in XAI conflict of interest. How about a lawsuit if you don't like it?
Do what you need to do. So,
Thank you for your comments.
Right.
Election, and then you can make that statement.
Okay.
Do we have any other nominations for co-chair? motion to
Close nominations.
close nominations, thank you.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Chad, second by Heather. And then a vote to approve Kimberly from GW for co-chair. Do you have any comments? Do you have any names? Okay, congratulations. Okay. That's good. Okay, so we will bring up, Sonia, are you taking the first part of this? To talk about the groundwater board rules?
Well, I was just gonna quickly go over in the ordinance, especially for the new members.
Mike. Yeah, Mike.
Yes, just to quickly kind of point over in the ordinance, the roles and duties of the groundwater board. So the board should have an exercise of power, duty, and responsibility to adopt, modify, repeal, and promulgate after due notice and enforce rules and regulations which the board deems necessary for the proper administration of this article and the preservation and protection of the quality and quantity of the groundwater of the county. The board shall have the exercise and power, duty, and responsibility to proceed without delay to formally adopt and implement a groundwater protection plan for the county. Such plan shall include but not limited to, which kind of went over that already, the wellhead protection requirements, operation of well facility, and so on. The board shall have an exercise of power, duty, and responsibility to adopt, modify, and repeal, and promulgate after due notice all necessary rules and regulations for the purpose of controlling the construction, operation, maintenance, and closure of all wells in the county other than those owned and operated by the municipalities therein for public water supply. The board shall have an exercise of power, duty, and responsibility to hear appeals for permit issuance, denial, revocation, or modification made by the department, the health department. Issue notices of such appeals requiring attendance of witnesses and the production of evidence. Administer oaths, take such testimony as the board deems necessary. The board shall have the power, the board shall have an exercise of power, duty, and responsibility to require the department to carry out surveys, research, investigations into all aspects of groundwater use and groundwater quality. The board should have an exercise of power, duty, and responsibility to serve as coordinator for all groundwater issues in the county, including but not limited to coordinating groundwater activities with federal, state, and local agencies, holding public meetings on groundwater policies and issues, developing a public awareness and education program relative to groundwater. So just wanted to touch on that, just to give you, just kind of a brief of what your roles and responsibilities are. And of course, that was brought to our attention by some of the public comments, but we're going to go through. So some of you were not here when we presented our proposal as our health department water pollution team. We presented a proposal to the groundwater board to increase our fees, and the board did approve that. So now we need to review this ordinance because it goes hand in hand. Fees are in here, but we would like for the fees to not be listed, and there's some other things that needs to be updated. As stated, this was created in the 80s, so some of the language has changed. So that's what we will do at this meeting, is review this ordinance. So it aligns and it's updated and it aligns with our proposal as, increasing our fees. So I will turn it over to our county attorney, Raven Chandler, and she's gonna go through the ordinance with everyone.
I'm sorry, can we pause for a second? Sure. Does anyone have any questions about our role? Yeah, I just wanna say, so in the past, we have historically, since I've been on the board and I understand, from folks in the audience that have come to these meetings for a long time, is that we have seen, we have mostly heard appeals, to people, applying for well permits. And so I think in the last couple of years, we have also been working to, live into more of our powers and purpose. And I think, what Tanya talked about, like, and so the audience members about groundwater protection plan, that's something that I don't know that we have updated or done in a long time, and so that's something that, we can get into, and I think to the audience's point, there are a lot of important issues around our water, including XAI, that we haven't weighed in on. And so, as the groundwater board, and, I just want to add, to that, to say, I think there's a lot of work that we can do to really, really step into our full powers around the most important natural resource we have in this Shelby County. So, I'm really looking forward to that, and I appreciate your overview of that. So there's been a lot of discussion about updating the ordinance and the importance of updating that ordinance. So I'm here today really just to go over some of the changes that the health department is proposing. And I want to also, give special thanks to Protect Our Aquifer. We've been able to collaborate with them as well, a community organization, and just coming up with what needs to be changed for this ordinance and the reasoning of why we need to change it. So I'm here to just kind of go through that. And first, there's been a lot of questions around the authority that the groundwater board has. And so if you look at the ordinance, starting off, what gives us this authority? So we have our state law. State law gives jurisdictions the responsibility to control their bodies of water. And so we have Shelby County and we have the municipalities. And back in the 1980s, the municipalities and Shelby County government came together and said, let's work together on creating the groundwater board. And with the groundwater board, they, the ordinance, the Shelby County ordinance itself, provides authority for the groundwater board to make the rules that start. And it's really broad, so we really want to clearly establish what that authority is by updating this ordinance. That's the biggest priority here. And because our rules and regs itself does not control. So back a few months ago, for the people who were not here, the groundwater board did, come up with proposing changes to the fees and setting new fees. And so those fees can be set, however, if it's inconsistent with the Shelby County ordinance, then it really doesn't apply because the Shelby County ordinance trumps those rules and regulations.
So we have to basically make it more consistent, and that's what we're requesting today is your support in making those rules more consistent. And so, again, why is it necessary? I'm going through the PowerPoint, even though you can't see it. Okay, previous ordinance was enacted in 1992. The current language is outdated, it's inconsistent with the regs. And then the proposal helps clearly define the groundwater quality control board's authority, and the proposal provides efficiency in the fee setting process. So today, the fee setting process is going before the board whenever we want to change anything that's going before county commission. Anytime we want to change anything that's inconsistent. That's not really effective, that's not really efficient to have to go in front of the commission, they have to go through 3 readings every time we want to change, have a fee change. And any just administrative authority to set reasonable costs for fees should be with the administration, the agency that has to provide the services. Now, elected body cannot create taxes, there's no taxation without representation, but an agency can establish fees that are consistent with the cost of providing the service. So, I would like to have the grade on at least to go through the, proposals. But if you all have it, I don't wanna waste too much time, we can go ahead and start. Go ahead and start. They were sent out back in February when we were planning to have our special meeting. So hopefully everyone already has a chance to review. I'm just gonna go page by page to discuss some of the changes that we are seeking the board's approval. And so first, some of these are very just minor changes. Like on the first page, you see definitions for department, and at a time it was Memphis and Shelby County, it's no longer the Memphis and Shelby County Health Department. That's just a minor, it's just outdated change. If you move on, page 2 is practically the same thing. One request that we thought could be changed is not a necessity, and don't approve, that's fine. But if you look at page 3, we figured it was better to not limit us to. So technically, by the bylaws, we are only required to meet twice a year. We already exceeded expectations by meeting every month, which we're not changing that, but instead of making it where we have to meet March and September, it's more flexible on the board to at least meet the first half of the year and during the second half of the year. And along with our other meetings, which is not established by the bylaws, but I felt like the bylaws were kind of limiting us to have to meet in March. And as an example, we were gonna meet in February, but it snowed and we didn't have anything to talk about if it didn't snow for March. And it was like requiring us to meet when it's not really a necessity to meet, because we didn't have to, we didn't have no appeals. So that's why that language is included. Moving on, I think the meat of what we're really trying to get to is really in section 42-74, powers, duties, and responsibilities. I think this is the meat of what we really want here today. So if you read section 1, it really clearly makes the groundwater board's authority very broad. It's very broad in what we can and cannot do. But what we can adopt, modify, repeal, promulgate, after you know it's in enforce rules and regulations, which the board deems necessary. That's very broad. And so in that's how we've been able to establish the fees we have set, but it's not really clearly set within the rules that we can do so. And so that could potentially cause conflict, and that causes the inconsistency we have today. And so the proposal is seen in section 4, and that proposal is in red, it says review and approve inspection and permit fees to reflect the reasonable cost of services provided by the Shelby County Health Department groundwater and septic program. So what we're requesting is really what we can already do, but it's not really defined in the, it avoids the confusion of like really knowing what we can and cannot. The next one, establishment of water conservation fees as a means of controlling uses of water or waste of groundwater by way of private wells. That rule is already set in our rules and regs. That is, I took that language completely exactly from our rules and regs, and it wasn't there before. So, we want to have that in the ordinance as well, so that there's no inconsistency on the authority that the board has. And so the other two, those are the same. Those are the same, so I'm not gonna go through those. Number 7 is actually, requiring the health department to publish the fees and, publish the notices on the Shelby County Health Department webpage. Because everyone doesn't really read the newspaper, so that's really just the health department taking on an extra duty of something we already do, but just establishing it in the ordinance as well. Section 10 on page 5 of that. This is a new one that we want to add. It's something that our rules and regs allow the board to do, but it's not really defined in our ordinance. And so I think the issue with this one was we really need this language here because there was questions regarding whether the board has authority over septic. And that can be in a ambiguous manner, whether the board has authority over septic tanks. And our belief is that we do because it involves groundwater. It goes back to that original broad language of anything deemed necessary to protect the groundwater. So we want to make that clear in our ordinance as well by stating that the board should have the power to hear and deny matters concerning the request for septic variance related to a 100-year floodplain restriction. And I believe I covered, and if you go to page 7, and once I get through with all this, I will open up for any questions and comments from the board members. But so this here is really the only ordinance that really pertains to fees. And whether or not you approve this today, we will need to change it if we want our fees that we previously approved, that the board previously approved to really have authority. Because as of now, section B is very inconsistent with the rules, with the fees that have already been increased in the previous meeting back in last year. So I believe it talks about different language for permitting fees, and I believe it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, Sonia, is it like actually like $100 for each lot or land compared to this is only like it's $20 for each for them. Section B. Correct. So it's just really inconsistent, as far as the fees that was previously agreed on. This is actually lower, it's a lower cost than what we previously set in the rules and regs. So it's just really inconsistent, and that's gonna have to be changed, regardless. So we are asking for the board's support and, just helping us get through Shelby County Commission. It's always good to have extra support from extra members. I believe that was it. As far as the changes, it's not really many, but what we are trying to change is, it's really a need for it. If we want our rules and regs to really, dig and hold as much weight as they should have. And so the next step is to go through the next step of this process. as members in the community have also stated, we have to get to the commission. And so getting to the commission today, my goal here is to gain the board members' support. I believe Sarah Houston has provided us with a drafted resolution of ordinance. That's normally done through our internal office, so I'm not asking for you to approve that. I'm just asking you to approve the changes that we are requesting to be made. And then the ordinance will be drafted. This proposal that you have, received in February, that will be attached as an exhibit to what the Shelby County Health Department drafts as an ordinance. This will be attached as the exhibit. We would take it before county commission in a regular meeting that they have, and we would ask for them to approve and adopt the changes, the amendments to the ordinance. Once we get your approval and your support, we would include that the groundwater board supports these amended, language. And then I would also request the community to even come out for that as well. Again, the more support is easier for anybody, elected officials to move, the more support that we have. And so that's all that I have. I have a question. Sorry.
Sorry, we couldn't show the PowerPoint. Technical issues.
So, I'm still open up to questions, but again, my request would be, and I don't have any authority to motion or make any decisions on the board, would be that, if you are acceptable to the changes, would be to motion, move to, accept the changes, provide support for this amendment, and as a body vote on that. That would be the next step to us going before in front of the commission.
Do any board members have questions about the ordinance?
Seems pretty straightforward. I just want to make sure. So all this is doing is updating the ordinance to reflect the accurate name changes, a few things on how operations are carried out and to remove the fees from the ordinance itself. That's correct?
Yes, changing some of the names because it's outdated, and then the process for, changing fees.
And I think, adding some flexibility around our meeting times, just to say that we meet twice, but it's not to say we have to meet in March or September.
Piggyback off of John, on page 7, the removing of the fees. Just for clarification, is that also going to help in the future for any future changes to the fees? That way that's not in there and it doesn't affect the ordinance as well. You don't get a double impact on that. Is that correct?
Correct. I'm sorry, I don't think I understood your question. What was that question?
The reason behind removing the fees, obviously, to instead of updating them, we remove it altogether so that as future changes come, this is more future proof for those changes to happen.
Exactly. It gives the board,
Streamlines the process.
exactly, it gives the board more flexibility to make those decisions in the meetings versus having to go to commission every time. The fee needs to be changed.
So just for my own understanding, that in the future, then, let's say you wanted to increase or you change the fee somehow again, the only process that would have to happen would be to bring that before the board. The fee changes, the board votes to accept or deny, and then that is what would go. And then no more in front of the commission, correct?
Exactly, we would go through the administrative procedures of the 30-day notice, and everything is decided here in this meeting.
And the 30-day notice would be for the public to then come and have comments before the board would vote to increase or deny the increase of any fee changes.
I'll make a motion. Move forward with the changes as written.
Made a motion to move forward with the changes presented today for the discussion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And we did vote to approve all the other contracts. I'll get Robert School someday.
All in favor?
I've seen it a million times, that's why it's everything. Yeah, so do we have a, all in favor of moving forward with these changes to the commission, say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, great. We are clear to move forward to the county commission. I just want to thank you all so much, Shelby County Health Department, protect our aquifer. This has been a long time in the making, so, I'm excited to see this move forward. Awesome. Okay, do we have any other business to bring before the board today? I have a question. So do we have bylaws for the board?
No, they were never created for the groundwater, they follow our order. But if we, I guess that's up to you all,
Yeah.
if you want to create bylaws.
I think that's definitely something I would like to work on, leading up to a strategic plan. And not just Robert's rules of order, but how we govern ourselves, I think, to this business's point about outlining ethical, responsibilities that we have, and if there are conflicts of interest, how do we handle that? So I think just making all of that clear would probably be good. So I'm happy to start working on a draft.
And I can send you an example from our area.
Okay, that would be great. And then we can discuss that at our next meeting in June, is that correct?
Yes, the next meeting is June 12th.
Okay. Okay. Any other business to bring before the board? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank y'all so much.
That.